Well, so I'm kind of a tough love person, and if I was talking to myself back then, it would probably be a little bit of tough love. It would be to get myself to stop being in denial, because obviously, looking back, I was. I made every excuse in the book for why I was at where I was at, why I was having the production I was having, my relationships, my business. And there was nothing more to it than just being in denial. The way that I lived my life was the results of which I was given. It's based on an effort that you're willing to put in, and the rewards are just undeniably 100% the best thing you could ask for. It's what everybody, I assume, wants out of their life to have a better life, to feel better in life. I mean, if you can't wake up and feel good, how does the rest of your life go?
Hey there, my friend. It's Dr. Anthony Balduzzi, and I want to welcome you back to another episode here on the Fit Father Project podcast. In just a moment, you're going to hear a conversation between myself and one of our amazing Fit Father program members, Mr. Nick Snyder. And Nick's amazing, just a genuine guy who really made a profound health transformation in a short period of time. Over the last 100 days or so, Nick has lost over 40 pounds, and he's just about to hit his 44th birthday. So it's incredible the transformation he's made. And what I love about the conversation that Nick and I share is Nick talks about not just the external changes and what it took. We certainly get into some of his routines, but we really highlight just the profound internal shift and the changes to his mindset, to his emotion, how he shows up as a dad, as a small business owner, as a husband. It's just powerful. And I think Nick is really the epitome of a fit father. And he's also a straight, no chaser, no, tell you how it is kind of guy. And he gets very real in this conversation about what it takes, the mindset, and that you got to be honest with yourself and make the change. And Nick's also living proof that it's possible at any age, no matter what you're going through right now, you can get healthy with the right methods. So without further ado, let's get into this conversation with Nick Snyder. All right, Nick, welcome officially to the Fit Father podcast, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you.
So to kick this convo off, I'd love for you to just give us a little brief about you, your name, your age, where you're from, and a little bit about your family.
All right. So my name is Nick Snyder from Northern Illinois, and married to my beautiful wife, Stacy, for 9 years. And then I have a beautiful daughter. She's amazing. She is a sophomore in college, and they're pretty much the glue that keeps us together, both of them.
And how old are you for those listening?
I am 43. Will be 44 next Wednesday.
Nice. Well, congratulations. Happy early birthday to you. So this almost begs that question. You've made some serious health changes in this last year. What were things like a year ago at your birthday when you were, when you turned 43? Where was your health at? And let's start maybe there, and then let's talk about what you've done in this short period of time.
I mean, mindset, physical, complete 180 from where we're at today. A year ago, would have been planning out, okay, what are we going to do for your birthday? We're going to go to a bar, honestly. I'm a social drinker. I've spent most of my life going to the bar, having drinks, eating bad food. Didn't realize how alcohol affected food choices when you have alcohol. I didn't know any of this stuff. But so a year ago, considerably overweight. Was probably up to about 230. When I started this, I was at 220. But just overall, I mean, looking back, miserable would be a good way to put it. I'm taking naps every day, come home for lunch and just tired, fatigued. And kind of what's crazy about it, the mental aspect is you ask yourself why. And it's pretty blatantly obvious why. But when you're kind of in that realm of this is your day-to-day life, I guess you don't identify with yourself as to you've kind of created this monster. The way you're living your life is the reason that you feel the way you feel and look the way you look. So took kind of a realization to say, I would wake up every morning and say to myself, this is the rest of my life. This is how I'm going to feel. So until I die, I'm just going to wake up, not want to get out of bed, not feel good about myself. My joints were achy. I actually got diagnosed with gout in 2017, which can be more of a hereditary thing. I understand that. But I'm sure a lot of my choices probably did not help with, that diagnosis and having that onset of gout. But that was a pretty big moment for me. I was at a point where I couldn't walk because of it. It was a very severe onset of gout, and it took a while to figure out what it was and get it under control. Um, but at the stage I'm at now, I'm hoping that maybe, my health is good enough that I can get off of a daily pill that I take for it and maybe just have something that manages it if you have an outbreak of gout levels.
Yeah. So let's zone in now. Like, I think a lot of guys can relate to where you were. You're stuck in this rut. You kind of just think this is how it is. Overweight, tired, medications, more bad choices that kind of fill the cycle. I want to take a snapshot and hear about where you're at like today. How would you describe your life approaching what's going to be your 44th birthday very soon? How would you describe it today? And then we'll spend the rest of the conversation describing how you got there and how you made that shift. But what are things like right now, this week? Like, how much weight have you lost? What does your body feel like? What is your mood like? I want to get these two snapshots side by side.
I'm down 41 pounds of this morning. Extremely excited about that. I've really been pushing hard. Mentally, it's 100% better. Instead of looking at everything pessimistically and negatively, everything is positive and what can be done. And, work wise, why not me? Why can't I do more? Why can't I be better? Um, Instead of just being okay with where it's at, looking to grow, looking to expand. Um, it's just completely different. So it's amazing.
Let's talk about how you got there. I mean, you did this in a pretty short amount of time. And for those who are watching this and not just listening, like we'll make sure we throw up some photos of like your before and after. Because what's so amazing is you lost fat, but you also like put on some serious muscle and you could just look like your vitality is so high. But that doesn't happen overnight. What got you to start to take the journey towards losing weight and taking the first steps? Like, how'd you get connected with Fit Father Project? What were you thinking as you started to join, and what was that first period like?
So, what really kind of prompted me to find Fit Father Project was, as I was in that rut and just constantly feeling down and low, and again, asking myself why I feel like this and not realizing that it's your lifestyle, it's kind of like you throw up other things like, oh, it's got to be this or that. You try to make excuses, I guess, is what it is. And so I kind of relayed to the fact that, oh, I must have low testosterone. And, I was resigned to that. I'm reaching out to medical clinics about getting testosterone injections. And this is before I've even had a low testosterone test.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I literally have emails where they're ready to send me to a lab and here's how much it is, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
give you the injections. And it was then that I actually took 1 minute and I took a step back and I just started Googling ways to improve your testosterone. Again, I don't know, I have low T. How do I improve my low testosterone naturally? And
Mm-hmm.
bam, you popped up on YouTube and you
Mm-hmm.
started talking about it and ways to improve it. Um, Once you did that, you said a couple things to me that kind of nobody else had said, which was number one, if you go and get testosterone injections, in which some people should, they literally have low testosterone. I don't. I know that now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's kind of like falling off a cliff. You don't really come back for that. So I was glad that I found you talking about that, and it kind of realigned me to think about, okay, you don't have low testosterone. We got the test. We know that. We didn't want to jump off that cliff. But then I started watching your other stuff about how to lose weight in your program, and so I said, hey, for this cost, I'm gonna jump in and just try this out and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bought the first 3 months. There was like a no money back guarantee. I'm like, okay, what do I got to lose? So
Yeah.
it was awesome. I'm like, I'm in. Let's give it a try. And I had actually kind of started to do a workout maybe a week before I had found this. But
Hmm.
that workout was what I've always done. And this is probably why I always fail, because it's kind of like old school thinking or not realizing the first thing you need to do is kind of lose your body fat, get your
Hmm.
body down to a point, and then work on building muscle.
Hmm.
Well, first thing I started doing is like big muscle exercises, right? I'm squatting and doing curls and watching Netflix episodes as I'm doing it because I'm bored out of my mind, and it's
Yeah.
the same repetitive thing, and I'm doing it 5 days a week. I don't know. I'm just doing what I have done when I was 20 years old, and I would always fall off. It was that in cardio, and cardio for me at that time was like an hour on the treadmill,
Hmm.
which is not sustainable. No one in
Yeah.
their right mind, you're not going to see the results, and you get bored out of your mind. No one's going to do it. So
Hmm.
those were the two things that I was kind of doing when I found your program uh, for a week. But then I started with your program, and as soon as I read everything, I got creatine. I supplement with creatine. I got the shake stuff, all the nutrients. We went to the grocery. My wife's amazing. She's a nurse. She does a little vegan diet on her own. I don't really care for her food, but it's great because she's always been healthy. She's always eaten fish and vegetables, and I'm just kind of the black sheep that hasn't.
Hmm.
And she's been really helpful with keeping me on track and helping me with my meals that you suggest. And that's kind of how I found your program. And that's where I started with it.
What was it like in that first week or so as you're starting to get momentum? You read through the meal plan, you see the workouts, you write a mission statement. Like what was the nutrition plan you started with? What did you settle on as like your beginning nutrition plan? When did you eat? What did you have? What's the structure?
So at first, I didn't have the shake. So I was doing that egg omelet recipe that you
Mm-hmm.
had, which is great because I love it and I love everything that can go in it. It was a lot of food, a lot of eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty difficult, but I wasn't hungry for sure. And I probably did that for a week until I got the shake. But once I got the shake, that shake is just amazing. So your body really starts to crave it every morning.
Mm-hmm.
You really look forward to it. And so every morning I start out with what was the omelet is now the shake. And then for lunch, I do a very low carb wrap. It's like a 30 carb wrap, no sugars in it. With two or three slices of turkey, mustard, spinach, asparagus, and a slice of pickle. And that's what I do every day for lunch. I'm a very scheduled person, so my wife always asks me, how can you do the same thing? And once your body is getting used to these good foods, it craves these foods.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can vary it up here and there, but that's pretty much my lunch. And then I do the Quest bar, which
Mm-hmm.
the other thing I'll note about your program is that with the group, the Facebook group, you always are learning. There's so much stuff there. I just came to the realization that not all Quest bars are on the approved list. So that was one thing I was kind of doing wrong. But someone brought it up, and I've read the list, and now I know that there's certain ones that have sucralose in it. And again, some I never knew about or that it was bad for you. And so now I'm on the right Quest bars for a little snack, but I do that. And then for dinner, it's just basically, the perfect plate or a salad with protein. And the perfect plate can be chicken. Every now and then I'll do some red meat. Um, Half plate of veggies, which again, the body's craving. So they're all good. And then just a little bit of brown rice or something, quarter of the plate, just like you said. I will say that that's pretty much my standard when I'm on a schedule, right? So, and that's easy for me. When I'm home, when I'm in my home state and everything, it's great. When I first started this program, it was extremely difficult for me because I had 3 weeks that I was gone. Actually, more than that. One of them was a week and a half. So it was probably 3.5 weeks. One was a car ride down to Florida and back, and we stopped all these different places. But I was having some momentum. So I'm immediately, what do I do? Where do I go? Well, you've already got it set up. It was perfect. So I found the Travel Fit Father program that you got, or the information. And so just go through the checklist. And I took a blender, I took a cooler, water. I almost took something to use the bathroom in when we were driving, just because, I'm sure when you drink that much water, you got to go to the bathroom all the time. But, it just saved me because I was having progress. And the last thing that I wanted to do was derail it in the early stages. I checked out all the hotels, made sure they had a workout place. I took 2 pairs of 15-pound dumbbells just in case, because that's really all you need to do the MRT, the Apex 10.
Yeah.
And while I wasn't perfect, that was the other thing I love about the group. People tell you, look, if you're not absolutely perfect, just get back on the horse the next day and don't feel guilty about it. Do what you can. I went to Memphis. I wasn't not going to try, their ribs, their barbecues, what they're famous for. But, a lot of people said, stay away from the sauces, do a dry rub. So there were things that the group really provides that I feel like helped in those moments that I couldn't be perfect. And it probably really helped me sustain some success.
Yeah. Spot on everything you said. I think like the things I really want to emphasize for those listening as like key principles that are screaming through is you got super consistent with your nutrition, at least those first 2 meals, right? Because that's like consistent momentum. You had more variety over dinner, but you used the perfect plate concept. And we have videos on this, podcasts on this, and of course in the program, you're doing that. You had a go-to snack with the Quest bars. But what I really love about your story is that where there's a will, there's a way. And when you were seeing progress, you had this will to, which I think even strengthened you even further, because when you went on that trip and you committed to bringing the couple things you needed, you're like strengthening your commitment even deeper. So I'm wondering, Nick, when you wrote your initial mission statement, what were some of the deep reasons why this was important to you at this time in life? Like when you were looking at some of those areas of your life, where did that will come from? Because a lot of guys struggle with this initial motivation. What did yours do when you wrote that mission statement?
Well, I realize I'm proud. Well, I could be one of the younger people, low 40s. It's Fit Father over 40. But what really came to me is my wife, my daughter, my family, how I was feeling before this program. And I'm asking myself, how do I live the rest of my life when I feel the way that I feel? Like, you just don't have the mental drive, like if it's a drain, and I want a good life. The rest of the life that I have here, I want a good life, and I want a good life with my wife and my daughter, and I want to be an example to them. And I want it free of disease. When I reflect back on whether it's gout or family history, I've got diabetes in my family. I don't want diabetes. I don't want underlying disease and things that could come on based on the way that I was living my life. I want to enjoy the time, and I want to travel, and I want to see my daughter grow up. I want to be a grandfather. I want these things, and the path that I was on, and I was on for the majority of my life after 20s, was not sustainable. I've been lucky to this point that I, haven't had something else. So count my blessings, and it's time to move on. It's time to make my life how I want it.
And then you got to work, because it's been, you're about a little over, like around over 100 days in now, I think, if I'm counting, like, give or take some. But what's it been like with your body and your exercise? I have this visual of you basically starting out in your garage with the old curl bar, doing some barbell squats, watching Netflix. And then the Fit Father exercise is much different. It's structured, it's a little more scientific, and quite frankly, it's harder than that. What's it been like exploring your body, and with the workouts in particular? What's the experience been like with the MRTs?
Well, at first you realize just how far out of shape you are. You realize how difficult things have gotten. The Apex 10 out of the gate. I'm sure everybody does it, and I've done it recently with the Great Destroyer. You're always kind of underestimate what it's going to be, and so I think out of the gate I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this with 20-pound dumbbells, and first time ever doing it. No way. There's just no way. So I think I might have started with 10 and it was grueling. You get halfway through it, three-quarters of the way through it, and you're questioning if you can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But you just sustain, you push through, take the extra time if you need it between sets,
Mm-hmm.
and you just make it happen. But I'll tell you what, after you do one, the second one is that much easier. And then the third one's that much easier. And then even when you go to the next weight, you know it's going to be harder, but it's never as hard as the first time you do it. It's just the mountain you have to get over. But once you get over it, your body starts responding, especially with the nutrition. You're fueling your body to exactly what it needs, and you're eliminating everything it doesn't need. And so by doing that, I mean, it just, your body responds so amazingly. I feel so strong now. I'm excited to do the workouts. Even though I know they're going to be grueling, you start wanting, I said it the other day in the group, you start looking for the burn. Where
Yeah.
before it was like, oh, I'm going to be so sore. Now you start looking for the burn and you
Yeah.
start craving it. So, I mean, the MRT stuff's awesome. Obviously, the muscle building stuff's great because, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at and looking to get to.
Yeah. I mean, you packed on a great amount of muscle while losing the fat, which is really impressive. And what I loved what you said is there's this switch that kind of flips in your mind where you're the guy that avoids discomfort beforehand. And is it kind of like you're fine with the discomfort of not being happy with your life and your feeling to a man that now is like looking for challenge and is getting into an expansive mindset. And I think that's the real thing, right? Like whether you're over the hill or you're taking the hill, it's that mentality. And like exercise is one of the greatest vehicles for helping us do that. Because when you nail and kick ass at your MRT, you wake up the next day and you're the kind of person that wants to go even harder at work, to be a better, spouse and all these things. Like speak into that, how this mentality is translated to all the different areas of your life.
Yeah, it's 100% true. And it's on both. It's the physical and the mental side. Both of those things. At one point, you're shying away from uh, these hardships. And on the other side, once you kind of cross it, what's next? What else can I do? Physical, mentally, emotionally. How can I be better at this? How can I be better at that? It evolves. How do you be a better friend? Everything. A friend, a neighbor, a husband, a father. So mentally, emotionally, physically, on the other side, which anybody that's looking for this, that's what they're looking to achieve. And it's all right there. All you got to do is like implement the system. And I mean, it's just great. It's crazy to think that 3 months ago, where I was at compared
Yeah.
to today.
I mean, Nick, guys go 3 decades in the situation you were at. But I mean, it's what's amazing is that's easy to do, but it's also like when you look back from your vantage point, you did this in 3 months. I mean, you totally changed your life around in 3 months, and you're approaching this new year with new health. Like, I'm just so excited for you and your family, and like what you're going to be able to create with that. So that kind of my next question for you is like, what's the future have in store for you with your progression with your health? What are some of your goals and maybe some things you're looking ahead to accomplish and experience next year?
Well, one of the biggest thing, I mean, the closest goal would be getting into OSM.
Hmm.
I would like to start strength training. I got maybe 5, 6 more pounds I want to drop,
Nice.
and then get into that. And I mean, that's kind of where I came from when I was young. I was always
Yeah.
lifting heavy weights and stuff like that. So I'd like to get back to that. Um, Maintain being healthy, gain muscle, continue to grow to be better husband, father, all the things that we just mentioned. Work wise, I've got basically a renewed vigor for figuring out how to have a bigger business, a better business, a more lucrative business. Um, how to progress with it instead of just being stagnant and ho hum, it's another day. Let's go seize the day. Why not
Hmm.
me? Why not make something bigger? Why can't it be? Um, and there's no reason. The only thing stopping me is me, and I've been in the way for a while now.
It's very clear to me that that energy is gone, though. I mean, there's a new feel about you, my friend. That is very clear, and it warms my heart so much. Like I just like I get such blessing from being on these conversations because little did I know when I was designing this fitness programming that I was hoping to lose weight that I would end up having a conversation with you, Nick, where I get to like look you in the eyes and feel the life you created for yourself and your family. It's priceless. I'm just so happy for you, and I'm so proud of you because you put in the work, and you're here because of that, and it's amazing. So I want to conclude this with a question, and that's like looking back, if you could have given yourself some advice a couple years ago when you were in the rut on how to get out, or maybe some advice you even have for new guys in the brotherhood groups that may see what you're doing and like take inspiration. Like, what would you say to someone or yourself in the early stages of this thing?
Well, so I'm kind of a tough love person, and if I was talking to myself back then, it would probably be a little bit of tough love. It would be to get myself to stop being in denial, because obviously, looking back, I was. I made every excuse in the book for why I was at where I was at, why I was having the production I was having, my relationships, my business. Um, and there was nothing more to it than just being in denial. The way that I lived my life was the results of which I was given. So it's based on an effort that you're willing to put in, and the rewards are just undeniably 100% the best thing you could ask for. It's what everybody, I assume, wants out of their life, to have a better life, to feel better in life. I mean, if you can't wake up and feel good, how does the rest of your life go?
Mhm.
It's the building blocks to everything. And advice to anybody else that's looking to do it or going through it, just be honest with yourself about what you want. Focus on how do you want your life to be. It's obtainable, but be honest with yourself what you want out of life. And if that's more than what you're doing today, then you need to go get it done. This system, if you plug into the system and simply follow it, there's so many guys that are just doing the nutrition. The
Yeah.
nutrition is 80%. All you got to do is stop eating the wrong foods and eat them at the right times, eat the right food, the right times. And I would think that so many people would see huge gains. I saw some guy who was over 300 pounds, and he said he couldn't walk 100 yards. He didn't know how he was going to do anything. And he just started doing the nutrition. And then he did a walk down the street. And this guy's walking over a mile now. And so when you put out an excuse, know that you're putting out an excuse, which that's all it is. You're in denial.
Mhm.
Again, little tough love here,
Yeah.
but you need to focus on what you want. It is achievable, and if you just follow simple steps, it's not that difficult. You just got to put in the work.
Yeah, Nick. You absolutely nailed it. I mean, it is that, right? It's getting clear and honest with ourselves, getting a system that's simple you can follow, building some momentum, and being around like-minded people that can encourage you and you can draw inspiration from, that you can troubleshoot with and share wins, successes, and challenges with. Like that's the recipe, and that's you work the recipe. And I want to say this too in closing. I'm damn excited to see you on OSM next year. Like I'm excited for your next phase. It's just a special thing to be able to go through this first phase and then recreate a whole new chapter. And when you're deadlifting hundreds of pounds in your garage, I want to have you back on here. We'll talk about that too.
That sounds awesome.
All right, Nick. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you so much, and thank you for being a fit father.
You bet. Thank you.